Pro Tools Crash Dummy Course.
What's going on, y'all? This is Raeshad from RaeshadBeats.com, and I just want to welcome you guys to the first episode of Pro Tools Crash Dummy Course. In this particular video course, I will be going through step by step with you in each video for Pro Tools on how to record, mix, and navigate in Pro Tools recording software. Now, before we jump in there, I want to talk a little bit about Pro Tools. Pro Tools is one of the most renowned digital audio workstations to date in the music industry. It is industry standard, and if you master Pro Tools, I feel like you can master anything else. So without further delay, let's go ahead and jump right into Pro Tools and let's get started with the basics. Right now, as you can see, all we got right now is our dashboard. We are at the dashboard. This is where you will start any of your sessions. We're not going to create from template right now because we want to start from scratch, and I want to run you guys through a regular empty canvas. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to call this session, let's call this session 11, or if anything, call this session 1.0, and then let's create. Okay, now that we are actually in an empty session, you can kind of see what we're working with. This is basically when you start from scratch in Pro Tools, you will get this empty canvas. There's no tracks. You can see your inserts, your sends, your IO. There's nothing there yet, so there's really nothing we can work with right now. But before we jump into actually getting tracks in, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the features that we have on here. So right now we have our bars and our beats, and this is basically a ruler for any song that you have in any session. And when you have it set to bars and beats, it basically counts each bar and each beat per measure for you in the ruler, and it helps you figure out the bars. You can also switch to minutes and seconds. But this also shows you the time in which the song is proceeding as well. We also got time code, we got samples, and we also have tempo. And we'll come back to tempo because we're gonna need that to use our beat. So right now we're still pretty empty, but I think it'll be best for us to actually just jump in and start using some tracks. So let's go ahead and start working on building our canvas, building our session right now. I'm gonna create a new track. And by doing that, I shall press Shift Command N. Didn't work at first. All right, so this is where we can get started with adding our tracks. Now in new tracks, you have a lot of different scenarios. So the track format right now is in mono, and basically for your regular tracks, you really just want mono tracks. Stereo is only good for buses and if you're doing any other type of effects that requires stereo. But for right now, since we're starting off, we're gonna need like at least 5 mono tracks. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you guys how a regular hip-hop session is set up. So let's start with we can start with, instead of 5, let's start with 10 mono audio tracks. And as you can tell, you can pick the number of how many you need as far as like tracks. You can create as many tracks as you want. You can go from 9 to 23 or whatever, 239. You can do all that, but we're not gonna do that many. So let's just keep it simple. We're just gonna do 8, and then we'll create. Boom. Now as you can see, we have 8 empty tracks that we just added using our new track feature, which is also, remember the command for that is Shift Command N. And let's start by naming some of these tracks so we can organize them, and then we're gonna add more tracks as we go. So right now we are in the process of just building, and in order for you to keep track of every track that you have in Pro Tools, it's best that you organize it and keep them concise so you don't get lost in your mix. So I'm gonna just drag these out a little bit. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna just start naming some of these tracks. And also, as you can see in this track box here, this is where you can also click on tracks as well. If you double click, you'll be able to just click on one at a time. But if you want to say like you want all three of these color coded, you can either hold command and left click and you'll be able to group them, or you can do the same thing but you can do it on the actual track as well. Doesn't matter. So let's jump right into it. I'm just gonna call this, we're gonna make this our hook. We're gonna make this our hook 2, and we can say hook ad-libs for this one. And let's name this our verse 2. As you can see, I'm just going through them, going through each one, and I'm just naming them so we know whenever we actually get actual audio, we know exactly where the audio is supposed to be. So we got a hook, we got our hook 2, our hook ad-libs, we got a verse 2, verse highlights, and we can also do verse ad-libs as well. Let's just keep it all concise just so you get an idea of how to construct and organize. So we got some decent tracks going on. Now another thing that I like doing for my templates, I also go to track and I add a master fader. So go to track right now, and also, you know, shift command in just in case you don't want to click on it. I'm gonna click on it for now, and we're gonna basically add a master to this whole track just so we can continue to build it. And a master in Pro Tools is called a master fader, and you want your master fader to be stereo. You do not want your master fader to be mono, because your master fader is basically your master. It has control of the whole track. And oh, we don't need 5. We just need 1 master fader. So when you're doing songs or you're doing sessions in Pro Tools, you don't have to have a master fader, but I personally 100% recommend that you do, because it helps for final mixing and it's good for those final touches. So let's add 1 master fader, and as you can see, it's at the bottom. And what I like doing, I like putting it at the very end of the template so we know it's sandwiched, you know what I mean? So we know that we got a little bit more of a cohesiveness as far as like organization. So let's color code our hooks, because I don't want my hook and my verse to look the same. I'm gonna just command left click. I'll make these yellow, which is cool. The verse, I'll make the verses green. Left click, and your color panel will be your best friend for organization, so remember that. And to get to your color panel, just click on the panels to the left of your tracks, just like so. So hold on, let me go back and do it again. Let's make these green. So that's looking cool so far. Oh, can't forget the ad-libs. So this basically helps you sectionalize your entire session. So far we got a hook, we got a hook 2, we got a hook ad-libs, we got a verse. Now we need a beat track, and to make a beat track, all you really need to do is create a stereo track. And to do that, you do the same thing, shift command in, and we just need 1 stereo audio track. So create that, and as you can see, the difference between mono and stereo, the difference is the bars. As you can tell, stereo has 2 bars, mono has 1 bar. Your master is a stereo track. Stereo usually has 2 bars, and that's because we want our beat to be able to have all the sounds. It won't just be one interleave sound. So now that we have our stereo track, let's go ahead and name the stereo track beat, and then I'll just drag this all the way up just so we can organize it. And then I'll make it a nice little red just because. And now we have, so basically, so far so good. We got our beat track, we got our hook tracks, we got our verse tracks. Now all we need to do is make a mic track, and this will be the track that you will be actively recording from. So as you can see, we already have an empty mono track that we can use, but I want to show you how to do one from scratch again, just so we can get the muscle memory down. So let's do Shift Command N, and let's do mono audio track, and as you can see, it'll pop up right here, and we will call this mic. And your mic track doesn't really need anything specific. It's just there for you to actually record your actual audio, and you don't need to change no inputs or anything like that. Cool. Let's go ahead. I'll just make this purple for real. Now we got our beat, we got our mic track, we got our hooks, and we got our verse. Let's go ahead and drop a beat into the beat track so we can actually see visually how templates are supposed to look, or how sessions look with actual WAV files. So I'm gonna just pick a beat that I made called World. I'm gonna just drag it in. You can drag and drop. And also a big thing is your tempo. Now I'm gonna show you how I find my tempos. I have a program called Mixed in Key. I recommend you get it. And basically this is a software in which it shows you any type of beat, the tempo of the beat, and the key that the key range the beat is in. So I'm gonna go ahead and add World to Mixed in Key. If you do not have Mixed in Key, don't worry, I will show you how to do the tempo the other way. But I recommend you, if you watch this video, I recommend that you go ahead and buy Mixed in Key right now, just to save you some time, because it'll save you a lot of time looking for tempos and everything like that. So right here you can see it says 140. So the tempo is 140 and the song key is 10A. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go back to my Pro Tools, and as you can see, my tempo is at 120, but we need it at 140. So let's go ahead and change our tempo to 140, and by doing that, you just click on Add Tempo Change, and then type in 140, and then drag it back. And in order to make sure this beat is on point, let's also create a click track. And in order to create a click track, you go to your track at the top, click on track, and then scroll to the bottom and create click track. And this basically creates a metronome. So I'm gonna call this metronome, just so you know. So remember, click tracks are your metronomes for Pro Tools. So let's hear what we got. Okay, so the click sounds on point, everything sounds on point. So we're not gonna have to worry about our hooks getting out of place because it's on tempo with the beat. The beat is on the right tempo of the session. Everything is locked in place. Now that we have our beat, we have our mic track, we got our hooks, we got our verse, we're ready to start recording. But let's go ahead and start with some practice runs. We'll just do I'll just do like a test, and I'm gonna show you exactly how it sounds with actual audio. So let's go ahead and test it out. In this world is so cold, oh yeah, oh no, oh no. In this world is so cold, yeah, so cold, yeah, we're so cold. Got a blanket and you know I never fold. Got a popper and a 30 for the low, yeah. I got a chopper with a 34 gold. I was just saying anything, but basically, as you can tell, we actually have an actual signal coming from our interface. In order to activate the mic track, all you have to do is click on interface and you record, and you arm it to record. So let's drag this down to the hook and see how this sounds. Okay, so that's cool. We finally got a little audio. We got a little freestyle going on too. So we basically have everything we need to continue to finish a track in this session. Now, before we get a little bit deeper into this, um, I want to stop right here because in the second video, I want to show you guys a little bit deeper for the templates and